How many wise men were there? I've always heard it was three. If you are looking for truth, you have come to the right place. This is Project Truth Beam, and we are going to get to the truth of the matter. Here at Project Truth Beam, we are always for paradigm shifting truths, such as what we're going to get into today. And as you can see from the title, there were not three wise men. Who are these wise men? Where did they come from? What does it mean to be a wise man? We are going to get into that, and we're going to show you a lot more interesting little truth nuggets that you can take on your way. Now let's get started. This is the typical image that everybody has embedded in their brains, that there were three men, wise men from the east, three wise men on camelback to come visit Jesus. And when they got there, they bowed down and presented gifts, and it was only three. But was that correct? Was it only three wise men? Here are some more paintings, very famous paintings. As you can see, all three wise men are bearing gifts in hand. Now let's get into the actual story of what it says in the Bible, Matthew chapter 1, verse 1 through 2. Now after, let's repeat that. Now after, when? After Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to worship him. For wise men, we have the word magi. Magi is the Greek common term for astronomers, in this case from the land of Chaldea, which is in Iraq. If you remember, Daniel in chapter 5:11 was appointed chief magi. He was chief astronomer. And Daniel is going to play an important role for these magi. As Daniel lived in the land of Babylon, he accumulated wealth under three kings. And he left his wealth to these magi. The magi were very famous throughout the land. They visited the kings all around the world. They were basically astronomers and scientists, all who had allegiance to the truth. They were instructed to watch the skies for the great sign of the King Messiah that is to come, because God had given Daniel secret information as to the birth of Yeshua, that is, Jesus the Messiah. There were 7 conjunctions in 3 BC. And so these magi were looking for a sign in the sky. And on September 14th, 3 BC, Jupiter and Regulus conjoined inside Leo, that is Ariel in the Hebrew, producing a superstar. And at the feet of Betula, that is Virgo, the moon was at her feet. When these stars conjoin, this represents the King of Kings. So these magi knew that this is the time to go look for the King of Kings to be born. Jesus was not born on December 25th. Jesus was most likely born in the fall. Most likely, Jesus was born on the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles. So that would have put Jesus's birthday on September 26, 3 BC. It is most likely that this is the case because the Bible says in 1 John 1:14, the Word was made flesh and tabernacled among us. Now let's read from Revelations 12, verse 1 through 6. A great sign appeared in heaven, with a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. And she was with child, and she cried out, being in labor, and in pain gave birth. And she gave birth to a son, a male child. Then the woman fled to the wilderness, where she for 1,260 days. That is 3.5 years. And 3.5 years from the point at which the sign in the heavens were that the King of Kings and Lord of Lords was born, there was a lunar eclipse, followed by the death of Herod. That evening, on September 14th, 3 BC, in Bethlehem, this is the sky that they would have seen from the east. You have the Virgo, i.e. Betula, the pregnant woman. She has the moon at her feet. She's clothed in the sun, and she has the crown of 12 stars at her head. This completely matches what is written and described in Revelation 12, verse 1 through 6. Now let's continue on with Matthew 1, verse 2 through 10. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all of Jerusalem with him. And when he had gathered all the chief priests and scribes, that's the Kohanim, of the people together, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born, i.e. the Messiah. So they said to him, in Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it is written by the prophet, but you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judea, are not least among the rulers of Judea. For out of you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod, when he had secretly, notice that word secretly, called the wise men to meet him, determined for them to tell him what time the star appeared. See, this is important because Herod met with the wise men at the Herodium. That is where he did meetings in secret. And so these wise men, i.e. Magi, met him at the Herodium, which is south of Jerusalem. So these Magi left out of Herodium going north, and then they turned towards Bethlehem, which is southwest of Jerusalem. And also notice that Herod is asking about what time did the star appear. The reason why he would be asking about this is he is trying to figure out how old the Messiah would be so that he can look for him and kill him, because Herod is worried about not being the king anymore. And we know later that he issues a decree to go out to kill all firstborn male children in Israel, all the way up till 2 years of age. And he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search carefully for the young child. And when you have found him, bring back word to me that I may come and worship him also. When they heard the king, they departed, and behold, the star which they had seen from the east went before them, till it came and stood over where the young child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. Now let's talk about that star that they saw. There was a superstar that night on the 17th of June, 2 BC. Jupiter and Venus conjoined over the horizon of Bethlehem. So anyone traveling that direction would have seen this superstar going down. And so that is the giant star and sign in the heavens that rested over Jesus that they came to see. Matthew chapter 1, verse 11 through 12. And when they had come into the house, notice they're in a house now. They're not in a manger. Jesus and his family are now in a house. So the wise men did not show up to Jesus's birth. They showed up much later, as Jesus was already born and was a young child. They saw the young child with Mary, his mother, and fell down and worshipped him. And when they had opened their treasures, they presented gifts to him, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Notice there are only 3 gifts. We never get any indication how many magi or wise men there were. Then, being divinely warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod, they departed for their own country another way. There is no way that it would have been 3 wise men traveling by themselves with so much valuable cargo. These 3 gifts are traditional gifts that were presented to royalty. Pure oils of frankincense and myrrh were more valuable than their weight in gold. They would have certainly traveled with a large, heavily armed caravan. It would have taken them about 3 months to travel from Save to Jerusalem to visit Herod. Now let's look at Matthew chapter 1, verse 13 through 16. Now when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, take the young child and his mother, flee to Egypt, and stay there until I bring you word. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed for Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the Lord through the prophet, saying, Out of Egypt I call my son. Then Herod, when he saw that he was deceived by the wise men, was exceedingly angry, and he sent forth and put to death all the male children who were in Bethlehem and in all the districts from 2 years of old and under, according to the time which he had determined from the wise men. Notice that it was 2 years old and under. That is because it took some time for the Magi, i.e. the wise men, to get to Jesus, to present the gifts to him. And Herod was trying to make sure that he killed all the male firstborn children that he could find that would meet that description. So with that being said, we have learned that nowhere in the Bible does it say there were 3 wise men. There could have been many wise men. We have no way of knowing how many wise men there were. They saw the sign in the sky, and they took the wealth and presented it to the King of Kings. Right at the perfect moment that Mary and Joseph needed money to be able to flee and go to Egypt. If they did not have this wealth, they would not have escaped Herod's wrath. With that being said, it is always important to read things for yourself. Do not just believe them because everyone around you is all in the same agreement. I hope this teaching has been a blessing to you. Thank you for joining me. And please leave a comment below, like, subscribe, and share. God bless you all.